Welcome to Life's a Coach. Our mission is to empower individuals like you to take charge of your life, discover your purpose, and elevate your performance to new heights. Each week, we'll be diving into engaging discussions, introducing you to valuable tools from the coaching world, and giving you different perspectives on individual development. Whether you're seeking clarity, motivation, or a fresh perspective, we've got you covered. Again, welcome to Life's a Coach, where the power to transform your life begins now.
Hello. Welcome everybody to Life's a Coach. Today we have in the house Sofia and Avril, and of course myself, Almar. And we're going to dive in today to that beautiful subject, awareness. What is it? So let me just turn the mic over to Avril, who is sitting happy. And definitely he looks aware. You're looking very aware today.
Thank you, Alma. Funny enough, actually, it's one of my one of those topics that I actually love. I like, and I'm all about that, especially in my coaching as a spiritual and holistic life coach. A lot of the things, I mean, another word for awareness, at least that I use in the circles that you use, is consciousness, right? Being conscious, being aware. So sometimes a lot of people use the word consciousness or being conscious in the spaces that I'm usually in. But if we break it down, that word, it comes back to awareness. So I do love that. And if we're to take that word and speak about it today in relationship for me to coaching, is because that's where a lot of people that come to us coaches with certain mindsets or belief systems that they're not aware that they have, that are hindering them from achieving the things that they want to achieve in life, right? So as coaches, we help them be aware of those things, right? So that's why I like the topic of awareness.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's what I gotta say for now about that. But else, you know me, I can go deep so quick.
Well, I'd like to ask you a question.
Mm.
When do you think, if you can remember, was the first time that you were even aware of awareness?
Ooh.
Juicy. um, it was very subtle. It was very subtle, but I think in my, I would say for me, it's when I was beginning my awareness journey, um, my awakening journey. And by that, I mean, around 20, when was this? 2016. And yeah, what had happened was that I just separated from my then ex-wife, and like 3 months later, I lost my job. Like within 4 months, um, I was homeless, and I think I've shared this story before. But in that time, it felt like there's a moment where, and I'm sure you've heard this before, when people talk about like, if they're involved in a car accident or something, like when you're in that impact, it feels like everything goes in slow motion. All right. And I felt like I had a similar situation where I felt like for the first time I was aware of, like, I'm the one watching things happen in my life from, though I'm inside me, but I'm also outside me and watching. Wait a minute. I feel like I can't grasp it. I don't have control over that. I can't hold that. Like the part of me that thought is what is being watched by another part. It feels like, wait, I'm watching another part of me. I don't know how to describe it, but I think it was 2016 when I first discovered that I'm actually being aware of, and from then became the journey of being aware of myself, and yeah.
Wow, that's
Short answer, 2016. when I was going through some very challenging situations in my life.
So that's like
Which
I'm so bad at math. How many years ago was that?
About 6 years
Oh,
ago.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's a new journey.
Hmm.
It is a new,
Six
and
years
how,
ago.
yeah, that's beautiful. How about you, Sophia?
I was just
How,
my one question was popping into. I will answer to yours, Almar, but one question was popping into my mind while you were speaking, Avril, and for also the sake of the ones that are listening to us, would you say that when confronted with difficult situations, with challenges, situations in our life, um, there is more inclination? I don't know if you use that word, but a bigger tendency to become self-aware when faced with challenging situations?
I, I would say so. It's one thing that I've noticed is that when just to respond to what you're saying, is like when life's when something starts happening in your life that's not the way you want it, it pulls your attention to that. Right? It's like maybe you're walking barefoot and you get a thorn in your toe. It pulls your attention to that. Right? And when that starts happening, there's something about you starting being aware of what's going on in that area that makes you also become more aware of what's going on within you and around you, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
at least for me, out of the experiences that I've had, I would say that.
Yeah. So thank you, Eva, for sharing.
Mm.
I would add to that, so a challenging situation or something difficult that happens to our life, but also if you are willing to work on yourself. So searching for answers, because sometimes people are faced with difficult challenges, at least I see it in this way, and they stay in that difficult situation or the victim mode, or this only happens to me, or only closed in the challenge, in the difficult situation, not opening up their minds to, okay, what can I do to make this experience different? And for me, Alma, now answering to your question, it was just that moment in my life, and it was, I would say, 6 years ago also. So no, 2017, 2018. And it is interesting, Avril. It was also on a break of a relationship. So what are
I
the
just realized
relationships doing?
2016 is about actually 8 years ago.
8 years ago. Yeah,
8 years
okay.
ago, yeah, yeah.
So in my case, it's 6 years ago. Yeah. And it was like, okay, this happened to me. What is my role on this?
Yes,
How have
yes,
I impacted this situation to happen in my
yes,
life? And this is
yes.
where I started the big journey. Okay, let's learn more about myself. Why do I
Hmm.
react in these ways to these
Hmm.
things?
Hmm.
What is my life telling me until now
Hmm.
that made me experience this? And then I started a big process with reading, therapy, coaching. So a lot of different things that I've never tried before and made me understand, oh, okay. Oh, do you remember that movie, Runaway Bride?
oh
And
yes.
that Julia Roberts never knows how she likes her eggs because she never got self-aware. She always liked the fiance's eggs. And I experienced the same. I started to discover things that I really enjoyed doing because I was spending time with myself, but also being supported with questions and challenges from people around me. And when I say people, it's professional people, not friends or family. It was a different experiences, and create that consciousness. Avril, I love that word. So I love that you wear it in your community as also to what is really me, or what where am I in this situation, or what is my role in this situation. I'm sorry, I went a little bit too long, but I think I got the
Wow.
message through.
I
Oh,
I
you did.
thank you for sharing that.
Hmm.
I wanted to say to both of you is what God, it's just so beautiful to hear you both because you both have said on numerous occasions, you, I, me, my, and all of this happened at the end of a relationship with the other. And I believe in order to truly be aware, you must be in relationship with yourself. So you left a relationship for the other only to come home to yourself and build one with you and on the journey that you're on to self-awareness. And it's so gorgeous, just gorgeous. I
Oh,
love
thank
it.
you.
This is beautiful. That's beautiful. Funny enough, as you all know, that I've also just recently consciously uncoupled with my partner. And I feel like I'm again on this journey of discovering who this version of Avril is, and even getting more exactly what you said it beautifully, Alma. It's like now I'm also here. Not that I wasn't trying to find not like being aware of who I was in a relationship, because relationships sometimes they actually do show you as well as like who you are and where you're at because of triggers and so on, if you're willing to do the work. But this space too that I've had in the past few months has been giving me back to be more in touch of me, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, and be aware of that. You say that very beautiful, Alma. Thank you.
Yeah, I love it. It was really, really beautiful. Almar, I'm curious on your thoughts on what kind of habits or practices would you say that help on developing the self-awareness or the consciousness?
Well, if I look back to when I started being aware of awareness of myself, it was in silence and it probably started with yoga. That sounds so cliche, but it's you with you, right? You're diving into your body and discovering how it moves and its limits and its potential, and really maybe, again, to use the word being aware of the self, because we're always looking outside, right, at everybody else. And in the hour on the mat, you're with yourself. And then, of course, as any lifestyle, that path evolves. And you all know that I'm a big advocate for meditation. I believe it's magic. That is the other step and not everyone can meditate. I get it, but there's all sorts of meditations. Sport can be a meditation. Walking across the street is a meditation. Reading can be a meditation. There's just a lot of, I don't want you to get stuck on the term meditation, but yeah. And then everybody has a guide, if you will. For Avril, he stepped outside of himself and was watching from the outside. For me, it was a voice on the inside, a conversation, which is how all relationships start. How do you do? I do very well, thank you. And then the relationship evolved in that way. But yeah, that's my answer.
I love that.
It's beautiful.
Mhm.
It's beautiful. It's
Well,
beautiful.
let's maybe we can, turn it around for our audience. And why is awareness so important? Is it important? Do you really need to be? Even though we all are really in some way or another. But how far do you go? And how does it improve your life?
Mm.
And how do you get
I,
there?
yeah.
How do you get there?
How'd you get there? I mean, one thing for sure, like if I think of my experience and what Sophia said as well, like we remember starting that journey when we came out of a relationship, but typically it doesn't have to be something bad or something wrong or something negative that happens for you to get there. Sometimes maybe it just comes out of questions like, hey, I keep I'm trying to save my money, but I keep, like someone's trying to work on their finances and they keep hitting the same, wall, or I keep attracting the same type of people in a relationship. So I keep, I'm trying to better my life, job wise, education, but something's not happening. It's that whole thing of there may be a mindset. mindset or a belief system or some blind spot that one is like, but why do I keep doing so? Like you guys say, it's asking the questions why, right? And finding someone who can help you with those questions too. Like say we recommend coaches and therapists and stuff and professionals, etc. But that place of just asking the why. Why is my life like this? Why do I keep doing the same thing? And why am I not doing what I want to do? Like those kind of questions.
Yeah.
And again, it's like I said, it's not necessarily a negative thing that we are trying to be aware of. But another thing is like, in this journey of being self-aware, we also get to see some of the strengths that we have that we didn't know we had those strengths inside of us, or get to know that I actually love this hobby, or I like doing this thing. I didn't realize I like doing it. Maybe I was doing it subconsciously, but I get to realize that, wait a minute, I actually really do enjoy being in nature, and it's part of what I need. But I get to discover that by stepping out and doing these things and asking myself the why question. Why am I doing this? It helps going deeper in a self-awareness thing.
So you're
I,
saying, if I'm somebody walking out on the street and I'm like, God, another issue with my boss. It's like, why do I always run into these problems at work? I think I got to leave. You're like, hold, stop. That's a moment to stop. And because you are in control of your why.
Yes.
So ask yourself and pivot, right?
Yeah. Something that I just remembered now from what Sofia shared that I want to jump in as well is like she said something that was similar to when I left that relationship back then. I had a moment of going, okay, my ex-wife is not going to change. She just is who she is, right? And I am who I am. So there are things that I can't change her, but there are things that I can change I can change for me, right? So I had to ask myself, like, especially in the last 6 months of that relationship, I started asking myself, like, whenever we had a fallout, I would ask myself the questions like, okay, what could I have done different, right? And I'm asking it for me, not for her. What could have I done differently? And how did I escalate or de-escalate that situation? All right. So I'm now like, okay, what skills and tools can I learn from this that for me, even if I don't end up with this person, I'm going to be a better off person having these tools to help me in other relationships. Right. And so it was now a matter of just asking myself in that point, like, okay, I guess where I'm going with this is the element of taking responsibility and ownership of ourselves and the things that are happening in our lives, right? Like, okay, where am I contributing to this? How am I contributing to this, right? If I'm getting a positive result in something I'm doing, okay, awesome. What have I done right? What have I done wrong there?
What is the motivation? What is your motivation for that?
For me, I must say, I there was a season in my life I was a bit of an addict of self-development. So it was always trying to develop myself. But I also see that the motivation is like the more you are aware of yourself, then you're more empowered. For me, it's more self-empowerment. All right.
Yeah.
The more I'm aware of myself, the more I'm self-empowered. I'll give you a simple example. So my daughter is tall, right, for her age. Her mom is 6'2", so she's got her mom's genes. But because she's just 7 years old, about a year ago, her mom started teaching her how to be aware of how long her arms are. Because she's just a kid and she thinks she's a kid and she's bumping onto things, but she has to be aware of. She's not like all the other kids her age, right? She needs to know how long her hands are going, how fit, that kind of just being aware of her body. And I loved watching her mom teach her that. But what I'm saying with that is like the more you know who you are and what you're about, your strengths, your weaknesses, what works for you, what doesn't, it makes you a more empowered person,
And,
right?
And Avril, I would add to that because of the example that you are sharing from your daughter, but also what you shared before. It helps you with yourself, but it also helps you with relationships. The more you know yourself,
Mhm.
the more you will be able to manage your triggers, as you were mentioning
Mhm.
before, to manage where you
Mhm.
want to be and where you want to, where you don't want to be. And
Mhm.
Almar, you said something about the silence and spending time with yourself. I really believe that that's the best way to get to know yourself. Even if you can be in a room full of people that know you, if you don't spend time with yourself and knowing yourself, you are not aware. And that's why some of the questions come. Why am I still coming to this relationship? Why am I still acting like this? That is because you don't know yourself. Because if you knew yourself, you wouldn't ask why. You could have asked, what can I do differently? Oh, and maybe be more conscious of some reactions and things that you are attracting. But spending time with yourself, spending time in silence, silence gives us a lot. I would say this, being in silence gives
And
us a lot.
you are right. Silence is really, truly golden. But I'd like to take it a step further is not just don't stop at asking why and getting the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Mm-hmm.
take the step, because I truly believe that we are all here to grow and to become more. Everybody wants to be more. Everybody, I truly believe that, whether you're aware of it or not. We do. And so to not stop at why, because I can answer why, and then that's the end of the sentence. Then what's the step to take?
Yeah.
And with a coach, we can find that out together. And in time, or without a coach, you can just, I'm sure you have the courage, and I'm sure you have the perseverance to not just ask why, but what can I do about it, and do it. And make that step, make that change. Try to do it better. Vow that you'll do it better the next time and the next time. And making mistakes are fine. That's how we learn, but we keep going forward.
I have a question because of what you said now, Almar. How do you believe that lack of awareness affects a coaching process?
In what way exactly?
You say lack of awareness?
Mm-hmm.
A lack of awareness affects our coaching practice?
So a client comes to you and you identify immediately that there's a
Uh-huh.
lack of awareness there, but then they
Ah,
want to achieve that thing and
right.
they struggle with it. Because I would say that the first process, when we have a client that is not that self-aware, not conscious of strengths, as Avril was saying, because we need the people to be conscious of their strengths to achieve their goals, right? At least I think it like this. How would you say that? What does it stop a person of achieving goals when there's lack of awareness?
Well, it's a good question, and it's so easy. Why is it so easy? As you all know, the time when you looked at someone and you can say, I can see exactly what's wrong with you, but you have no idea what's wrong with yourself.
Definitely, definitely.
So just with that alone. And then we have the questions, in this world, especially, people don't ask good questions.
Mm.
And a lot of times, and you both agree, you ask your clients questions and they stop in their tracks. No one's ever asked me that before.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
That awareness has just happened right there
Yeah.
in 30 seconds.
And just that's the beginning of for most people, that's just the beginning of the Pandora box. You just ask them something, and this is again why we advocate coaching, is that at times the coach, if not most of the time, the coach is going to ask you questions, like you say, Alma, that no one else in your circle of people is asking you those questions. you know we in coaching, we talk about deep and powerful questions, right? It's not every day that when your circle of friends, unless they're coaches, that you have these deep and powerful questions being thrown at you. But yeah, are you guys familiar with the Johari's window?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
uh
Mm-hmm.
I
Do you
love
use
that.
that tool in your sessions?
Not in my sessions, but I've used it in my life a few times.
Really?
I've known of this way before I was a coach, and way before I should have known what it really was. But I've always found it fascinating. But as we talk about awareness, that it comes to mind, like, yeah, with that full quadrant of the things that I know about myself that others do, what I know about myself that others don't, what others know about me that I don't know about myself, and what nobody knows about me that's still yet to be discovered.
That's
You
fun.
I
know,
used it in a
yeah.
Well,
session,
you know,
Almar.
so
Going back to your question, I
you
used it
have,
with a client, yes, and it was mind blowing. I think for the client, it was like, I was not expecting this.
spell it so our listeners can go ahead and Google it and maybe try it themselves.
Johari window or Johari's windows, Johari. That's Johari, Johari's window.
Go ahead and Google that and have a little exploration.
A self-reflection. Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. All right. How
Okay,
y'all
guys.
feeling about self-awareness?
Feeling
More aware than I was a
good.
minute ago,
Always, right?
aren't we?
Okay, we start to wrap up then.
Okay.
Almar,
Well,
your thoughts?
gosh, I think self-awareness, the journey is so exciting to me. I love it. I always love discovering new things about myself. Just when I thought I had myself down and I knew who I was, boo, I surprised myself again. It's a constant, it's a long, very long love affair.
Oh,
I would say for me it's similar, but also knowing myself, right, and being aware of myself. I love it. Don't get me wrong, I love it. But sometimes there are times when, like when I'm doing shadow work, where it's not so. I'm getting to discover things about me that either my habits or things that I do habitually that are not necessarily positive, as per se, like, oh man, this is what I'm like. Oh, this is what I do. Okay. All right, we got to work on that. But it's better I know of those things than not know of it. So I'll say my self-awareness journey is more like a 90 love, 10% hate kind of journey.
Really? Oh my goodness.
Nah, I'm just messing. I just want to get a reaction out of y'all.
No, and first of all, I just don't think there's a bad part of you. I mean, that's your judgment of yourself, and said it's bad. I just think maybe it's cool and exciting. Like, oh yeah, this is what makes me, that 10%.
Unique. That's what makes you unique, bro.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, did you murder anybody in the 10%? Can't be that bad.
Okay, if you had to sum up in one sentence why awareness is essential for a fulfilling life, I'm going to repeat that. If you had to sum up in one sentence why awareness is essential to live a fulfilling life, what would that be?
Could sum it up in one word for me. Is it one word? Maybe 1-2 words. Self-empowerment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine is peace.
Ooh. Juicy. Sophia?
I think that self-awareness helps me become whatever I dream of becoming.
How empowering.
I like that.
And I joined both of your words here because it gives me self-empowerment, but also it gives me peace. Because if I'm becoming whatever I dream of becoming, I'm at peace with myself. And I really, truly believe that only self-awareness gives me this.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Avril and Sophia, today. That was beautiful.
Thank you, Almar.
I wish for all of our listeners as well, self-empowerment and peace as they go on to their day, their weeks, their life.
Definitely. Post us your questions and comment below whatever you want us to come up with in this podcast. We are here to support you in your journey of self-awareness.
We'll ask
again.
you some powerful questions if you like.
Definitely.
Just ask first.
For sure. All right. Thanks again for joining us. Life's a Coach.
See you next time.
Thank
See you
you.
next time.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Life's a Coach, where our conversations aim to empower and support your personal growth. Until next time, remember that personal development is ongoing, so keep exploring, keep learning, and keep living a life that aligns with your true purpose. Take care, and we'll see you on the next episode of Life's a Coach.